Hello friends, so today we're gonna be testing the Kaleinar 100mm 2.8 and it's the N version, so 5 Kaleinar 5H but N multi-coded from the famous Arsenal production plant and it's just arrived today, so I take you with me to take the first shots on this lens and let's see how it's performing. So far what I like very much, it's a quite small lens. If you compare it, I also brought with me the famous 105mm Nikon, which we will compare with it in a separate video, because first of all we have to try out how is the Kaleinar performing, and then we're gonna compare it to the 100mm, which doesn't get out on my back. So as you can see, the 105mm Nikon, or at that point they were still called Nippon Kogaku Japan, and then they became Nikon. And if you compare the size, you see it's quite longer than the Kaleinar, even though it's just 5mm longer. So yeah, it's the Kaleinar is a really it's a handy, it's a small nice like some say pocket size lens, and what it has also built-in metal lens hood, which comes quite handy sometimes when you shoot against the sun, or not really when you shoot against the sun, but when the sun is hitting the front element of your lens. This can sometimes help you to avoid flare. As you can see, it's not perfectly made, so it slides out and in a little bit, not as elegant as for example the 105mm Nikon with the built-in lens hood, or the 135mm, and I'm gonna show you also the difference between these two lens sets. So far when I try out the focus zoom, it's a little long for my personal taste, but it's actually also quite hard to turn. But sometimes this is actually what you want to have when you try to nail focus, a critical focus, and then it's actually quite nice when the focus ring doesn't turn that easily, but is a little bit stiff and sometimes holds. And as we can see here, the sun is back, so I'm gonna put you on the camera now and show you some pictures here in this nice scenery. So let's go. So let's start off with what I meant about the lens hood. So for example, now we have the light coming directly, so we focus a little bit on this bridge here, and as you can see, without the lens hood, let's try that, without the lens hood, one picture, and with the lens hood. Doesn't make any difference. I'm not completely sure, but let's keep going and see how the bokeh is performing when we, for example, focus on these little grass leaves here, and actually it's already sharp wide open at 2.8. When you stop down, for sure it's gonna get sharper, as every vintage lens. So you stop down to f4. Let's see. Yes, it becomes really sharp in the center, And if we stop down even further, let's go to 5.6. And let's see, let's try to nail focus perfectly. It's a little bit more easy with 5.6 instead of 2.8. But let's focus on this guy. It seems to focus on infinity, but I can see it does not completely do that. I'm not completely sure, we have to check this out. So this is now on infinity. And let's preview. In the background is a little bit out of focus. That means it's not completely focusing to infinity. Let's try it out with 2.8. It tells me it's focusing on infinity. Let's try to get this sharp in the very end there. Yeah, that looks better. So yeah, overall it seems quite sharp from what I can see. Again, in the let's take some random pictures of the water here. Again, against the sun, so we have a little blown out. See how it performs in lightness. Wide open, sure, it's a little difficult, but let's see. How does it perform in high light contrast situation? And yeah, from what I see in the back display, yeah, it falls a little when you shoot directly into something reflective as this border. That was to be expected, but yeah, overall it seems a nice lens for the size and especially for the price, which should be around 100 euros plus. I was very lucky with mine because it looked quite dirty on the photos, but luckily it didn't have any scratches, or at least from the small fast cleaning what I did to the lens, what I could see there. So I'm gonna put you on the camera now and we take some pictures. First of all, we're gonna shoot against the sun so you can see how the lens performs and if actually the built-in lens hood does anything. So let's not look directly into the lens, the sun, but you see it's blown out completely. Let's try it down 5.6, somewhere around there. It reduces a little bit the flare. Now this was with the lens hood, now this is without the lens hood. And what do we see? Maybe the lens hood helps a little, but I'm not completely sure about that yet. Next thing is focus to infinity, because you have many times you have the problem that when you adapt a lens to the Nikon F mount, especially the M42 lenses with the adapter, they never focus to infinity, or you cannot focus to infinity, that's it. So you can still use it for like close-up shots, but landscape and so on doesn't work. So let's test this out if it's actually focusing to infinity, which would make it really usable. And yeah, let's try to find something, a subject matter quite in the distance, and see if it does it or not. So let's focus here on the background. It gives me the confirmation ball on this part here on the back of the bridge. Let's reduce the shutter speed a little. Let's make it first of all completely open. 2.8, 100, 1/100 is blown out. Gotta reduce it a little. 1/200, 2.8. Now that looks better. And we're gonna stop down a little to 5.6. or focus to infinity. Seems like it is not completely focusing on infinity, but we have to check this on the computer screen as well and really see what's going on. So now let's check how does the bokeh look. For this we'll find maybe this little piece of metal. It's not that little, but you see what I mean. Let's get a little closer and try to find some light source. Maybe up there there's a light, so we are gonna focus on this metal everything is little, this metal thing, and 1/100 completely open, 1/650, and yeah, the bokeh looks quite quiet, so to say. It's not that busy, which can come in very handy. So let's focus a little closer as well and see what happens. The close focusing distance is quite good, impressive. So I'm gonna try to focus on this so it's perfectly, and yeah, it's really smooth bokeh. Let's stop it down a little to f5.6, and we gotta go back a little and decrease the shutter speed to 1/250, and there it is, tech sharp, and a nice still a nice creamy background. Let's stop even further, f8. Let's see how it performs here at f8. Wow, tech sharp, incredible. Really strong performance for this little pocket telephoto lens. Incredible. Let's take a zoom, focus a little bit out, and what I can see from the back monitor, I would say quite impressive little Kaleinar. And yeah, still we have to make a complete comparison with this beauty, because I shot with this a little, and I think you've already maybe seen the review on that. If not, click the link up here. If there is no link, I haven't uploaded the review yet, but this one is also really impressive. And it's not also only about sharpness and all that, but it's also about how does the bokeh renders, how are the colors. So far, from what I've seen from this lens, it has the vintage look. That's completely normal for the time of production. But what it also has, it has this, yeah, it has a color rendition, especially of skin tones, because most of the time I like to take images of people, and the rendering of the skin tones is just it's just so impressive. And since I just see the photos here on this setting now in black and white, I don't know yet how the skin colors look like, but if it renders the same way or similar from the Nikon 105mm, and I'm quite pretty sure that it does, because from what I saw now from these few test shots, it's incredible. It's incredible sharpness, and it has this micro contrast we are looking for. But unfortunately, the sun is gone now. We still gonna take some pictures, but that's it for this really short review, and yeah, see you later for the next test, and then we're gonna compare it to the 105mm and really see does it can you actually compare it to this famous 105mm of Nikon, which is fantastic from what I've seen so far. But it's always, when you get the lens at the beginning, you are very enthusiastic and you think, yes, that's the next step for your photography. But it depends on so many parts. Also the ergonomics, how does the focus ring turn? Is it your style of movement? Is the degree how long you have to turn the focus ring? Is that your way of shooting? Also, if you want to use the lens for videography, there are also some different parts you have to look for. But no, so far I'm pretty much impressed from the 100mm Kaleinar. But what I'm gonna do here, because here we have the perfect brick wall, I'm gonna shoot also some test photos with the Kaleinar and then with the 105mm, and I try to make it as fast as possible so we have the same kind of light. So sorry for the wind, it's getting windy when the sun is down, but that's it for this test. So have a look at the comparison shots on the famous brick wall, and see you in the next video. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video and share it with somebody who's also into lenses and photography. This is the 100mm Kaleinar at 2.8. We're gonna step down to f8. And now we're gonna compare it to the Nikon 105mm at 2.8. Now we're gonna step down to f4. That was f4, and now we're gonna step it all down to that was f8. So what I've seen so far, it's the Nikon definitely lets you turn the focus ring a lot softer. It really feels a lot better made. Sure, the aperture ring is a little stiff, because it's actually, you shouldn't use especially this lens on this lens mount. Some people say it's not a problem. I haven't encountered any problem, but just to be sure, don't get this lens on this body. But if you are not scared with these things, then still get the 105mm. Yeah, from the look, it looks just fantastic now. I really like the nice aluminium ring on the top, and you also actually get a lens hood, and then it becomes a real vintage look. So you see here, this is the lens hood, and what I like very much about it, it's actually the mechanism how you do it. So you have two pins here, which you can turn like this, and you see this is pushing in the opening, so you can attach it like this, screw it a little bit more, and it's done. And to take it off, just take the tool like this. So so yeah, this is how it falls when it falls. So you can screw it on like this, and it fits, and take it off with pushing the two knots, clack clack. So that's quite handy. And yeah, from the look, looks quite nice, very vintagey, and but also kind of modern. I don't know, it doesn't just look vintage. I wish Sometimes more modern lenses would have this turning focusing ring, because I really like the feel, because your finger can really get into these little cutouts, and the feel overall is really nice. So let's do some test shots before it's completely dark. So let's see, let's focus on the water here, and person running behind at 2.8, and like this we can really test the infinity. So now it's at infinity. Gonna stop it down a little, and gonna get the branches and the wall. Bye bye, thanks for watching.